visuals will haunt us for a very long time.
You're very right, Krishna. These are horrendous, and we've been watching them since yesterday afternoon, evening when this became available. And this are going to haunt the country for a long, long time to come. And I think we need some some way to be able to get away from that, in terms of that those who've been killed for no fault of theirs, for no reason whatsoever, that their blood has not gone waste. They have been they have been avenged properly. I understand that some of the terrorists have been liquidated, have been killed, and but it will not be limited only to the terrorists who were involved, 6 or 7 of them who were involved in this. But the message has to be very, very strong, because otherwise we can see that it is going to get repeated over and over again. So it has to be done. We have done it earlier. We did it in 2016. We did it in 2019, and I think it definitely a proper message has to go out to Pakistan and all those who are being supported by it.
Right, Ambassador Ashok Sajjanal, former Indian diplomat, joining us even as we continue to bring you the latest visuals of the Navy officer from Haryana, Lieutenant Vinay Narwal, who was on leave because he had just gotten married and was in Pehalgam just 2 days before the attack took place with his wife on a honeymoon trip, when he was caught and shot right in front of his wife. Now visuals are of his mortal remains being taken from the Delhi airport to his native place in Karnal, where the last rites will be held. His inconsolable young wife Himanshi boarding the vehicle which contained his mortal remains. As you can see on your screens, Delhi's Chief Minister Rekha Gupta consoling Himanshi.
And we should all be proud of him in every way. In every way.
Absolutely gut-wrenching visuals coming from the Delhi airport, where the mortal remains of Lieutenant Vinay Narwal have been brought back. This story is difficult to describe in words. You can see on your screens are visuals of Delhi's Chief Minister Rekha Gupta on the spot consoling Lieutenant Vinay Narwal's newlywed wife and his family. We have Itai Melchior, former executive Israeli National Security Council, with us on the broadcast. Itai Melchior, what Israel did after the October 7th attacks, that's what is being quoted in India time and again. That's the kind of response that is needed, is what is the general consensus over here. And these visuals of people who have lost their near and dear ones, and this is just one of them. It's one of the stories that is one of the most gut-wrenching amongst others. Of a newly-wed Indian Navy officer, barely a week into his wedding, is on his honeymoon, 2 days into his honeymoon, gets pulled out, gets asked, "Are you Muslim?" and he says no, and then gets shot.
Yeah, it's shocking when terror strikes. First, I have to say that Israel stands with India. We've seen already Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs both with very strong condemnations, both saying that Israel stands with India and mourning with the families of the injured and the killed. It's totally unacceptable, and it's important to keep the eye on the ball, because we many times see apologetics, people that will say, yes, it's bad, but minorities, but this, but that. There is no but when it comes to terrorism and to innocent civilians. It's against everything humanity stands for, but sometimes we tend to forget that, and it's important, and I'm sure that the security apparatus is standing strong against this, but sometimes the civilians tend to forget that there are people who are scheming against at all times, and these things have to be dealt with constantly, not once in a while. There's a certain organization that has claimed responsibility, but it is assumed that other organizations are standing behind it, and these organizations have funders and they have backers, and they have charity organizations, and in the end it's a whole apparatus that has to be dealt with.
Itai, Israel is no stranger to dealing with an attack like this, and sadly enough, neither is India, and in that sense, right now the calls are growing louder with every passing second for the strongest of military response. I mean, the fact that their diplomatic response will be there is a foregone conclusion, and everybody here in India right now feel as if that a diplomatic response is meaningless at this stage, considering all that has gone on so far. And with an attack like this, there has to be some things have to be put to an end. The same way Israel thought about its situation after the Hamas attacks of October 7th.
Yes, exactly so. And listen, the heart explodes. The heart can't contain this, and it's natural that every person that has been taught that we don't revenge wants revenge and wants justice to be done. And that's why I previously said the justice is not against the perpetrators. It's not the individuals who came with a gun. There's a whole apparatus behind them of funding, of educating. Someone taught them that it is okay to kill people because you have a dispute with them. You have to go to the root. Yes, avenging, and the heart goes out, but clearly this is something that is bigger than 2 or 4 or 6 people who became deranged, and you have to deal with the funding, because they got weapons and they got trained and they got instructions from someone, and I'm sure that a lot is going on right now behind the scenes that we don't know about and won't know about, trying to relocate this. And Israel is used to this. Whenever we have a terror attack in Israel, one of the first things that the security apparatuses try and do is to close down on the entire ring of the perpetrators, because someone drove them, someone helped them get away, someone supplied them, someone gave them money, someone incited them. This whole apparatus has to be dealt with. It's not enough just to go and retaliate and bomb an asset that belongs to that organization, but a lot of wisdom has to go into this. And I think it's important also to look at the broader prospect of timing. You just had the visit of the deputy President J.D. Vance with his wife and family.
Right.
Minister Modi was now in Saudi Arabia, strengthening ties with an important Muslim country, which might be a close ally if the IMEC corridor dream comes true. And the same that is rumored that Hamas chose to attack to thwart this collaboration, this regional collaboration, because extremists don't want people to get along and they try to get in the middle. So I don't think it's a coincidence that this took place exactly when Prime Minister Modi was visiting Saudi Arabia.
Right, Itai Melchior, stay with us. Ambassador Ashok Sajana, stay with us. We are taking a very short breather over here at this stage. Our coverage of the Pehalgam terror attack will continue on the other side. Keep it with News9.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
Coffee?
I am Idea Cool. ये एयर कंडीशनर नहीं, AI कंडीशनर है.
News9 Corporate Badminton Championships, in collaboration with Pullela Gopichand Badminton Foundation, is here for all of you to experience the passion and network. This is a great opportunity to experience your childhood memories and also be part of a corporate event which enhances sportsman spirit in all of us. Wishing you all the best and hope to see you here.
Presenting sponsor, Srinidhi University, Kindle the Light Within. Venue partner, Pullela Gopichand Badminton Academy, Hyderabad.
You are watching News9 and we are getting to you the latest visuals of India's Home Minister Amit Shah, who is at the hospital where the Pehalgam terror attack victims are being treated. At least 28 people have lost their lives in the terror attack so far, while several others are still receiving treatment. Union Home Minister Amit Shah there personally meeting all the victims and reassuring support even as the National Investigation Agency takes over the Pehalgam terror probe. Bear in mind, a Cabinet Committee on Security meeting is scheduled today at 6 p.m. Even as news arrives of US President Donald Trump. Trump, we understand, has called India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and conveyed his deepest condolences at the loss of innocent lives in the terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir. President Trump strongly condemned the terror attack and expressed full support to India to bring to justice the perpetrators of this heinous attack. India and the US, he says, stand together in the fight against terror. President Trump, in a post on his social media platform, said, and I quote, "Deeply disturbing news out of Kashmir. The United States stands strong with India against terrorism. We pray for the souls of those lost and for the recovery of the injured. Prime Minister Modi and the incredible people of India have our full support and deepest sympathies." Unquote. J.D. Vance, who is also in India, condemned the attack. He said, and I quote, "Usha and I extend our condolences to the victims of the devastating terror attack in Pehalgam, India. Over the past few days, we've been overcome with the beauty of this country and its people. Our thoughts and prayers are with them as they mourn this horrific attack." Unquote. Now, after the US President and Vice President, Russia's President Vladimir Putin also condemned the attack, the terror attack on tourists in Kashmir, saying that the brutal crime has no justification whatsoever and its perpetrators will face a deserved punishment. In a communication to President of India Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Putin extended condolences over the terror attack in Pehalgam. He expressed his sincere condolences over the tragic consequences of the attack in Pehalgam, whose victims were civilians and citizens of various countries. He said, and I quote, "This brutal crime has no justification whatsoever. We expect that its organizers and perpetrators will face a deserved punishment. Please convey words of sincere sympathy and support to the near and dear ones of the deceased, as well as wishes for a speedy recovery of all injured." Unquote. Melchior, former executive, Israeli National Security Council, with us on this broadcast live from Haifa in Israel. Itai, the visuals on our screens are right now continuing of India's Navy officer whose mortal remains have been brought back from Pehalgam in Kashmir to Delhi. It will be taken to his native place in Karnal in Haryana, and this is the first of the victims' mortal remains that we are able to track. There are 27 others, 28 tourists, some of them are international. And this at a time when Kashmir was on its way back to normalcy, on its way back to rebuilding its economy, where tourism is the lifeline of it all. And clearly, this is an attack that's meant to taint that reputation, peg Kashmir back, and keep the embers burning. And if you saw that statement from Pakistani Army Chief just a few days ago, it was very clear that Pakistan needs the Kashmir crutch. Pakistani Army, to be specific, needs the crutch of instability in Kashmir to continue, because it is at a time when it's all going wrong for the Pakistani Army in Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. It's an army that's been cornered by rebellion.
Yes, certainly. Every story is devastating, and as a country that has experienced so much terrorism, I know what the next few days will look like. Every horrific story making way to another, even more horrific story. A couple on the honeymoon should not end this way. And as I said before, the heart explodes, and calls for action are in abundance. And the question then becomes, what is the right move? As the ambassador said before, just cutting diplomatic ties maybe is not enough. But on the other hand, what are your legitimate targets that you can take and fight against? And I think that the most important in the end, besides the immediate vengeance, finding the perpetrators, and bring them to justice, is to look at the entire situation, because as you said, the region was going towards normalcy. If there's one thing that these people don't want, is normalcy. They don't want things to be normal, because if things are normal, then they get no attention, and the people get along together. It's not good for them. They want a disruption. Disruption serves them, and this is something that the whole web around them needs to understand and feel, because if you just again bring the perpetrators to justice, you have not eliminated the next terror attack, because someone incited them to do this. The people who incite this have to be brought to justice. The people who fund them have to be brought to justice. The entire organization, and you see that many terrorist organizations have, let's call it charity organizations, that fund them and fund their schools and fund the families. But in the end, this charity is being abused to create more and more terrorism, and therefore an important fight against the terrorism is also getting to the root of those organizations, of the people behind the scenes, the people with the ties and the suits that sometimes seem unrelated and unconnected. They too have to be brought to justice, and people who are even thinking of going that route should understand that it will not end well for them.
Itai Melchior, the situation that India faces right now is that this is the right time in many ways for a counter-strike, and not just a counter-strike just to retaliate. It is now time for a counter-strike to end things once and for all, because cross-border terrorism has been fomented, by Pakistan across the border for decades now, and every single time, there was talks or there was an attempt to find a solution, there have been more terror attacks. And in that sense, the patience has completely run out as far as both the Indian government and the Indian public is concerned. And the timing is right. The entire world right now is watching what is going on in Kashmir, and they all know that this is not new in Kashmir. This is the latest and the most ghastly. But this is not new, and this has gone on for way too long. So it is not just India and Indians who've lost patience, with this cross-border terrorism. It is the global community, and I'm sure, whatever action that India chooses to take, the global community will stand with India this time around.
sorry, I beg to differ. We've seen too many leaders who only half condemn. And what do I mean by half condemn? They say, oh, terrorism is bad, but there are political issues, but there are minorities, but there are border disputes, but etc. This is something that is unacceptable in my opinion. And it is important also that India demands from its neighbors a full condemnation, not a half condemnation, not a an apologetic condemnation, but a full condemnation, because also the people on the other side who may be now a bit happy have to understand that this does not serve them. It does not help any other country, any other organization. No one benefits from terrorism. And you know, as Israel, we've too many times seen, yes, in October 7, the world was with Israel, and October 8th maybe, but on October 12th, they said, why are you attacking civilians? So it's important to keep the eye on the ball. It's important to understand that people who are harboring terrorists, people who are inciting terrorism, people who are supporting terrorism are part of the terrorism. And India will need to make a case for this, because the world might very quickly, as it did with Israel, some of it, change sides and say, yes, it was a ghastly attack, but that does not justify the activity. So therefore, good, and you have a strong diplomatic force in India. They will be doing a lot of explanation and getting countries aligned with India, also to understand whatever India decides to do has to be justified by the diplomatic corps, explained to the allies, so the allies keep supporting and don't sway away at the first instance when images on the other side may not look as pretty.
Right, Itai Melchior there joining us on the broadcast. Thank you, Itai, for taking time out to be with us here.
Thank you.
And with that, we take a very short breather. We'll be back with more on the other side. Keep it with News9.
What a save! What a save!
I need expert savings. I need my carrier.
Smash your way to glory at the News9 Corporate Badminton Championship. Get ready for the ultimate badminton showdown. News9 presents the biggest corporate championship, a battle of skill, speed and supremacy. Cash prize of 6 lakh rupees across categories. Venue, Pulela Gopichand Badminton Academy, Hyderabad. Dates, May 9th to May 11th. A chance to showcase your talent and make a mark. The court is set. Are you ready? Register now.
Presenting sponsor, Srinidhi University. Kindle the light within. Venue partner, Pulela Gopichand Badminton Academy, Hyderabad.
In a huge setback for bike taxi services in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu races ahead with 9.69% growth rate, India's fastest growing state this year. Good for Tamil Nadu. You may not be directly involved with what your son or daughter does, but your influence does well. My name is Sudha Sadanand. Welcome to the South Indian.
In the age of OTT platforms, to watch or not to watch, that's the question. Because you are what you watch. It's our review, but your choice to skip it or stream it. Hello and welcome. I'm Krishna Kumar. This is Skip It, Stream It.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
You're watching News9. I'm Krishna Kumar. Time now for Fast News.